The moment Marcus Johnson collapsed onto his kitchen floor, sobbing uncontrollably with eviction papers clutched in his
Hey,
trembling
it's gonna be
hands, he
okay.
never
But I'm
imagined that in just
scared.
3 weeks,
I know,
he'd be
but you're
standing
so
in a
brave.
penthouse
Okay.
overlooking the city, wearing a tailored suit worth more than his car. If you've ever felt like your world was crumbling around you, this story might just give you hope when you need it most. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe to catch more incredible true stories of unexpected second chances that prove life can change in an instant. Marcus stared at his reflection in the cracked bathroom mirror, barely recognizing the hollow-eyed man looking back at him. 6 months ago, he'd had it all: a loving wife, a good job at the architectural firm, and a cozy 3-bedroom house where their 5-year-old daughter Lily could play in the backyard. Now, Sarah was gone, taken by a drunk driver on a rainy Tuesday evening. His grief had affected his work performance, leading to him being laid off. The medical bills and funeral costs had drained their savings, and now the final notice in his hand confirmed what he'd been dreading: they had 30 days to vacate the home where Lily's height marks still climbed up the kitchen doorframe. "Daddy, are you okay?" Lily's small voice called from the hallway. Marcus quickly wiped his eyes and forced a smile that didn't reach them. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just thinking about what we should have for dinner." The lie tasted bitter on his tongue, but he couldn't bear to tell her they might soon be sleeping in their car. That night, after tucking Lily into bed with promises that everything would be all right, Marcus sat at the kitchen table with his laptop, desperately applying for any job he could find. His architecture degree meant nothing now. He would take anything that could keep a roof over their heads. The rejection emails had been piling up for weeks, each one chipping away at what little hope he had left. The next morning, Marcus dropped Lily off at his neighbor Mrs. Peterson's house, a kind elderly woman who watched Lily for free while he went to job interviews. "I've got 3 today," he told her with forced optimism. "One of them has to work out." The first interview was for a warehouse position that had already been filled. The second was at a restaurant that needed someone with more experience. By the time Marcus arrived at the third, a receptionist position at Blackwell Industries, one of the city's largest corporations, his shirt was wrinkled from the heat, and desperation had settled into his bones like an old friend. The lobby of Blackwell Industries stretched upward with gleaming marble and glass, making Marcus feel even smaller than he already did. He approached the current receptionist, a young woman with a sympathetic smile. "I'm here for the receptionist interview," he said, trying to sound confident. "I'm sorry, but that position was filled yesterday," she replied, genuine regret in her voice. "They should have called to let you know." Marcus felt the floor shift beneath him. This had been his last hope for the day. "Right. Of course," he managed, turning to leave before she could see the tears threatening to spill. As he headed toward the exit, a commotion near the elevator caught his attention. A tall woman in an impeccably tailored suit was arguing with a man who seemed determined to follow her. Even from a distance, Marcus could see the tension in her shoulders, the barely contained fury in her stance. "Mr. Harrington, I've told you repeatedly that Blackwell Industries is not interested in your proposal," she said, her voice carrying across the lobby. "Please stop following me to meetings and showing up unannounced." "Alexandra, be reasonable," the man insisted, reaching for her arm. "Your father would have seen the potential in this partnership." Something in Marcus snapped. Maybe it was the way the woman flinched away from the man's touch, or maybe it was simply that he had nothing left to lose. Before he could think better of it, he was crossing the lobby with purposeful strides. "There you are, honey," he called out, his voice surprisingly steady. "Sorry I'm late for lunch." Alexandra Blackwell, CEO of Blackwell Industries, though Marcus didn't know this yet, looked at him with momentary confusion before something shifted in her eyes. Understanding. Relief. She played along seamlessly. "No problem at all, darling," she replied, stepping away from Mr. Harrington to slide her arm through Marcus's. Mr. Harrington was just leaving. The man looked between them, suspicion evident on his face. "I didn't realize you were married, Alexandra." "Recently," she said smoothly. "Very private ceremony. Now if you'll excuse us, my husband and I have lunch plans. She guided Marcus toward the private executive elevator, maintaining the charade until the doors closed behind them. Once alone, she released his arm and let out a long breath. "Thank you for that," she said, studying him with intelligent eyes. "Richard Harrington has been harassing me for months about a business deal that would essentially allow him to take over my company. He doesn't seem to understand the word no." "Happy to help," Marcus replied, suddenly aware of how out of place he was. His department store suit next to her designer outfit. His desperate situation versus her obvious success. "I should go. I just came for a job interview, but the position's been filled." Alexandra tilted her head, considering him. "What position?" "Receptionist." She raised an eyebrow. "You don't strike me as someone whose career goal is to be a receptionist." Marcus laughed, a hollow sound. "I'm an architect. Or I was. But right now, I'd take anything that pays the bills." The elevator reached the top floor, and Alexandra held the door open. "Come have coffee with me. Consider it a thank you for rescuing me down there." Marcus hesitated. Lily was safe with Mrs. Peterson for another few hours, and he had nowhere else to be except back in his kitchen, staring at past due notices. "Sure. Coffee sounds good." Alexandra's office was larger than Marcus's entire apartment, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. She gestured for him to sit in one of the leather chairs facing her desk while she ordered coffee from her assistant. "So," she said once they were alone again, "tell me your story, Mr. Johnson." Marcus Johnson. He hesitated, not wanting to burden this successful stranger with his problems, but something in her direct gaze made him continue. "The short version is that my wife died 6 months ago. I lost my job at an architectural firm because I couldn't focus. Now I'm about to lose our house, and I have a 5-year-old daughter who deserves better than a father who can't keep it together." Alexandra didn't offer empty platitudes or pity, which Marcus appreciated more than she could know. Instead, she asked, "Do you have a portfolio of your work?" The question caught him off guard. "Yes, but—" "Bring it to me tomorrow," she interrupted. 9 a.m. "And dress like my husband again." "I'm sorry." Alexandra leaned forward, her expression serious. "Mr. Harrington isn't going to give up easily. He has connections with several board members and is trying to orchestrate a hostile takeover. Having a husband, even a fake one, changes the dynamics. It suggests stability, commitment. Old-fashioned values that some of my more traditional board members respect." "You want me to pretend to be your husband?" Marcus asked incredulously. "For a few weeks. Just until the quarterly board meeting is over and Harrington's proposal is officially rejected." She named a figure that made Marcus's eyes widen. "That would be your compensation. Plus, I need a new head of architectural design for our upcoming urban renewal project. If your portfolio impresses me, the position is yours." Marcus stared at her, waiting for the punchline. When none came, he asked, "Why would you do this for a complete stranger?" Alexandra's expression softened slightly. "Because 6 years ago, I was a single mother with a law degree and a mountain of debt, trying to prove to my father that I could run this company while raising my son. Someone took a chance on me when I needed it most. Consider this paying it forward." The next morning, Marcus arrived at Blackwell Industries with his portfolio and the only decent suit he owned, freshly pressed. He'd spent the night explaining to Lily that he might have found a job, carefully avoiding the details about pretending to be someone's husband. Mrs. Peterson had agreed to watch Lily for the next few weeks, waving away his concerns about payment. Alexandra met him in the lobby, greeting him with a familiarity that suggested they'd known each other for years rather than a day. "Ready for this, darling?" she asked, loud enough for nearby employees to hear. "As I'll ever be," he replied, following her lead. The next 3 weeks were a whirlwind. During the day, Marcus played the role of devoted husband, accompanying Alexandra to business lunches and company events. He learned to recognize the key players in her corporate world, the board members who supported her, those who were in Harrington's pocket, and those who could be swayed either way. In private, Alexandra reviewed his portfolio and was genuinely impressed by his work. She introduced him to the Urban Renewal Project team, where his ideas about sustainable, community-focused design were met with enthusiasm. For the first time since Sarah's death, Marcus felt the spark of professional passion returning. Evenings were spent with Lily, who was thrilled by her father's improved mood and the promise that they wouldn't have to leave their home after all. Marcus hadn't told her about the arrangement with Alexandra, only that he had found a good job that would solve their financial problems. As the days passed, the line between pretense and reality began to blur. Marcus found himself genuinely enjoying Alexandra's company, admiring her sharp intelligence and the quiet vulnerability she showed only when they were alone. He learned about her son, 10-year-old James, who was away at boarding school but called his mother every evening. Alexandra, in turn, listened as Marcus spoke about Sarah, about his grief, about his fears of failing as a single parent. The hardest part, he confided one evening as they worked late in her office, is knowing that Lily will grow up without memories of her mother. Sarah was amazing, patient, creative, loving. Lily deserves to have had more time with her. Alexandra's eyes softened. My son's father left when I told him I was pregnant. James has never met him. But you know what? James is kind, curious, and brave, all qualities he developed because of the people who are in his life, not because of the one who isn't. The night before the board meeting, Alexandra invited Marcus and Lily to her penthouse for dinner. It was the first time the children would meet, as James was home for the weekend. Marcus had been nervous about how Lily would react, but his worries proved unfounded. Within minutes, James was showing Lily his collection of dinosaur fossils, the two children chattering excitedly. They get along well, Alexandra observed as she and Marcus prepared dinner in her state-of-the-art kitchen. They do, Marcus agreed, watching the children through the doorway. Lily hasn't been this animated in months. Alexandra handed him a glass of wine. Tomorrow's the board meeting. After that, our arrangement will be complete. Marcus felt an unexpected pang at her words. Right. Of course. The job offer stands, she added quickly. Regardless of what happens with us, the position is yours if you want it. I want it, Marcus assured her. It's an incredible opportunity. He trailed off, unsure how to express the complicated emotions he was feeling. Alexandra set down her wine glass. These past few weeks haven't been entirely pretend for me, she said quietly. I've enjoyed having you in my life, Marcus. Both professionally and personally. Before Marcus could respond, the children burst into the kitchen, breaking the moment. The rest of the evening passed in comfortable domesticity, a family dinner that felt surprisingly natural despite the unusual circumstances that had brought them together. The next morning, Marcus dressed in the new suit Alexandra had insisted on buying him for the board meeting. As he adjusted his tie, he thought about how much had changed in 3 short weeks. From the brink of homelessness to the possibility of a new beginning, not just professionally, but perhaps personally as well. The board meeting was tense, with Harrington making his case passionately. When it was Alexandra's turn to speak, she did so with confidence and clarity, outlining her vision for the company's future. Marcus sat beside her, offering silent support and occasionally contributing insights about the architectural aspects of upcoming projects. When the votes were tallied, Harrington's proposal was rejected by a significant margin. The look of defeat on his face was quickly replaced by anger as he stormed out of the boardroom. Alexandra accepted congratulations from her supporters, her hand finding Marcus's under the table and squeezing gently. Later, in the privacy of her office, they faced each other with the knowledge that their arrangement had reached its conclusion. So, Marcus said, I guess I'm fired as your husband. Alexandra smiled. The position has been eliminated, yes. But as I said, the architectural director role is still yours. Marcus took a deep breath. And what about dinner? Is that still on the table? Dinner? Yes. Just you and me. No pretending, no business discussion. A real date. Alexandra's smile widened. I think that could be arranged. 6 months later, Marcus stood in his kitchen, the same one where he had once collapsed in despair, watching as Lily and James argued good-naturedly over whose turn it was to set the table. Alexandra moved around the space with familiar ease, having spent more and more time there as their relationship deepened. The eviction notice was long gone, replaced by security and hope. Marcus's designs for the urban renewal project had received acclaim, establishing him as a rising star in the architectural world. Alexandra had successfully expanded Blackwell Industries into new markets, her position as CEO more secure than ever. Penny, for your thoughts? Alexandra asked, coming to stand beside him. Marcus pulled her close. I was just thinking about how quickly life can change. A year ago, I thought I'd lost everything. Now, she prompted. Now I have more than I ever thought possible. He kissed her softly. And it all started because you asked me to pretend to be your husband. Alexandra laughed. Best business decision I ever made. As they joined the children at the table, Marcus reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From his darkest hour to this moment of contentment and possibility. Life had taken everything from him, only to return it tenfold in unexpected ways. Sometimes, he thought, the end of one story is just the beginning of another, better one. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that reminds us all that even in our darkest moments, hope can find us in the most unexpected ways. Share in the comments if you've ever experienced a moment when everything changed for the better just when you thought all was lost.